Okay, this is take 2 of the Impromptu Morbius review. I've got some notes. I've got some coffee in a Tim Hortons collector's cup, not actually Tim Hortons. And I've got a scattered idea of what I want to say, which in a way is very thematically appropriate for the subject at hand. Because we are, of course, talking about an absolute fucking mess of a film. My non-spoiler feelings toward the film, if I could condense the essence of my feelings about this and everything surrounding it in a non-spoiler way without conveying any actual details about the movie, it would probably be something along the lines of, what the fuck? Jesus Christ. Please fucking stop. What the actual fuck? God damn it, Sony. What the fuck? Because, wow. Do Sony have absolutely no goddamn idea what it is they're doing at all? Everything is hasty and last minute, and they're really hedging their bet. I mean, Sal Crivelli said it best when he said, "Never underestimate the desperation of a dying studio." And that's a quotation I've used a few times since. And I believe he was talking about the Venom movie when he said that. But apropos of the Venom movie, it also applies to Morbius, which takes place in the same continuity, if you're not aware, whatever the fuck that continuity even is, because god damn it, does Sony not know what they're doing with their own universe. My lens hood has some dust on it. Anyway, god damn it. Where to start? Okay, so Morbius is an intellectual property. Let's talk a bit about that. I don't know if you know this about me, but I'm a bit of a Spider-Man nut. Like, I know as much as any person should ever know, more, arguably, about Spider-Man. I own thousands of issues of Spider-Man, if you consider collected editions to be part of that. And let me tell you something. I've read a lot of Spider-Man, and Morbius is not a character that can sustain a movie like this. He's just not. There needs to be more. You cannot have a film that is just Michael Morbius, because Michael Morbius is barely a character. Up until this point, the closest thing to a notable credit or resume footnote that Morbius had as a character was being a primary threat in season 2 of Spider-Man the Animated Series in 1990 goddamn 5. So damn it. Wow, it's incredible. Because it is just blind desperation. At least Venom is like something. I would argue that you can't make a Venom movie competently. You can't competently do Venom as a character without the mythos of Venom, which is like 95% Spider-Man. You just can't. Like, Spider-Man is his one-armed man. Spider-Man is his... That's a Fugitive reference. Spider-Man is his motivation, his origin, his reason for being. He's just not the same character. I mean, he might as well be called something else. Like, he's legally distinct enough. Hi, babies. That's my dog. He's legally distinct enough that really you could just like change the name and it would be different enough from the Marvel property that you'd be fine. Now, Morbius is not the same way in that the origin of Morbius, just the idea that he was a guy who had a blood disease and became a vampire person, that is not inherently tied into Spider-Man. But Morbius as a character is only interesting in that he fights Spider-Man. Because let me tell you something, they made up their own villain for this movie. I will note when spoilers are occurring officially, but without spoiling it, the villain of the movie is not a thing. He's not real. He's made up. God damn it. And without spoiling the movie, yes, the villain of the movie is just a cracked, mirrored version of the character who we are following in the movie. God damn it. So, I suppose I have to get into spoilers now. So, if you haven't seen the movie, or if you give a shit about spoilers, stop watching at this time. For the rest of you, have I got notes? Right. So, there's some stuff that's non-spoiler that I could go into. The horror is really bad. The scene on the boat where Morbius kills a bunch of those guys, all those like mercenary guys. Hi, how's he doing? How's it going? The point in the movie where Morbius kills all those mercenary guys sucks. It should be awesome, and yet it sucks. Morbius is edited like a music video. It's edited like with the ADD inflicted in mind. It's so like what should be a really slow, really like sinister, tense scene where he's one by one taking out these guys in like a horrific fashion is like really choppy and snappy, and there's like fast-paced music playing. It's like, just cut the music, slow the scene, let the tension build. And listen, the problem is as well, is like, I don't give a shit about any of the characters in this movie. Like, the stakes don't exist, because none of the characters in this movie, like, first of all, most of the characters in this movie don't exist. They're not real characters. They're like made up for the movie. And they're characters who are made up for the movie with like no real backstory or motivation or arc. Nobody in this movie has an arc. Nobody in this movie has a personality. I don't give a damn about any of them. I suspect that you will feel the same way, or do indeed feel the same way if you have seen the film. None of these characters even resemble three-dimensional human beings. It's like not even funny. If a 4-year-old submitted a Morbius script in crayon, I imagine the characters would be about as deep as they are in this film. And that is not anybody's fault. I think Matt Smith is having a great time. He does well enough. He plays like, so spoilers now. He plays a fucked up version of 11, basically, from Doctor Who. But he has no character. I hate Jared Leto. I don't like him at all. This movie is not his fault, though. He does, like, as well as I think anybody probably could have with that script. And I'm not one to give brownie points to Jared Leto, but I don't think it's his fault, and I don't think anybody could have really done much better with that material, because it is garbage. And damn it. So there's a shitty, like, love story in this movie. It's the most, like, paint by numbers generic movie I've ever seen. It's one of the worst movies I've seen in a long time, for sure. It's so paint by numbers. So there is, like, a love story, but it comes out of, like, absolutely nowhere. Morbius in the... I can't even remember her name, but the doctor lady with whom he has relations at the end of the film all of a sudden is like a non-character. Like she like, as much as nobody in this film has a character, she really does not have a character. She is just there for the sake of being a romantic interest in nothing more. And it's kind of ridiculous to the degree to which that is true. She is a paper doll. Trying to center myself. Yeah, it comes out of nowhere. It's bad. None of them have chemistry. There's no chemistry. There's like the slightest minuscule bit of chemistry with Matt Smith and Jared Leto in one or two scenes, but it's like, I'm being generous. Suffice it to say. And Milo, let's get into Milo. Okay, so there's a scene. This movie is so unintentionally hilarious. It's a good thing that the theater was practically empty when I went, because there is a multitude of points where I audibly like chuckled or laughed to myself because of how unintentionally stupid and ridiculous. Sorry, I'm trying to get the autofocus to work. How unintentionally stupid and ridiculous the movie ended up being. There's a scene with Milo at the beginning of the movie. By the way, his name's not Milo. Morbius had a roommate called Milo when he was in like the sick kids hospital or whatever, and he died, and he had like 6 other people and they all died, so he just calls them all Milo, which is like kind of fucked up. But so he calls this kid Milo, and I don't even I don't even remember what his actual name. I think it's like Lucius or something. And the name Lucius has been used in like one issue of a comic ever, and it's really not, it's not any character that exists in the Marvel mythos. And then he calls him Milo, and then instead of saying, "Hey, stop calling me the name of that dead kid, that's pretty fucked up," he just like uses that name for the rest of his life. Until the day he dies, he uses that name. Which is hilarious, but the scene in which I'm talking about specifically, which is absolutely hilarious, and not intentionally, is Milo comes into the hospital, and they're talking about like how everybody in this hospital keeps dying. You know, and then Milo introduces himself to Morbius, and then like, he just goes, "Ugh," and like slumps over and basically dies, and Morbius has to fix like what was it, like a dialysis machine or something, with like a ballpoint pen. And let me tell you something, I know a little bit about engineering, and there's no fucking way that you could fix, like there's no mechanical issue in any sort of machine like that would be fixed with like a ballpoint pen. That's just absolutely ridiculous. What the fuck? Right? So that happens, and it's ridiculous, but it happens. And then so Morbius is sent to like, who the fuck even knows? Some like smart kid school or whatever. And he's like so fucking smart, bro. He's just so fucking smart. Let me tell you something. Reed Richards could not fix a dialysis machine with the spring, because it's nonsense. That doesn't mean anything. You can't. Like, that's not how machines work. But nonetheless, he does it, and he gets like all these awards and shit. And we don't see anything from him from childhood up until the day, basically, that he becomes Morbius the Living Vampire. And everything is just shorthand in this movie. There's no development at all. Everything is lazy writing shorthand. And as such, we don't actually know anything about the characters in the film. So we don't care about them when they die or when they're in trouble or when they're in danger or whatever. Everybody, every character in this movie is garbage. There is like a father figure, a surrogate father for Morbius and Milo in this film. He's like a doctor guy, and he dies in the film, and it's like, one, it's kind of funny, and two, like, who gives a shit? Because he's not a character. We don't know a single thing. I think he has maybe like 3 minutes of screen time in the whole movie. We don't know a single thing about this person at all. I don't even know his name. I can't remember what his name is. God damn it. Nothing in this movie works. And I haven't even gotten into like the really egregious shit. The powers, I don't understand the bat powers. So there's a fight. By the way, the end fight, I think, lasts, like the big climax of the film lasts like maybe 5 minutes or something. It's kind of absurd. And also the ethics of the film are all over the place. So Milo's character goes from being like, I don't understand. First of all, it's never explained how he's rich. They make a reference to gambling, but obviously that's not a valid explanation. So we don't know how he's rich. We don't know what he does for a living. There's so many plot holes, like the lawyer thing, the bats. So the bats like Morbius because he's like them. He's like a bat person. They can sense that he's a bat person, so he's like a brother to them for that reason alone. And then he can control bats, which is not a thing he can do. That's bullshit. And then he uses the bats to like attack and murder Milo, who's also a bat person. No relation to Batman. And the only reason the bats liked Morbius... Hi, babes. The only reason the bats like Morbius is because he was also a bat person. And then they attack Milo, who is a bat person. So what is the distinction? Like, why would they do that? Hello. Why would they do that? It makes no sense. Aw, I love you. You're so cute. I'm making a video right now, though, honey. I love you. I love you. I'm gonna have to get out of frame, though, okay? Okay, let's go down here. There we go. Is it focusing? Good. You're ruining my focus. In more ways than one. So they just, like, and then he stabs him with the cure. There's like a plot thread of, there's a second, and by cure, it's not a cure, he kills him, it's poison. Doesn't exactly take no, down honey. Doesn't exactly take a genius to develop fucking poison, to just poison your enemies and call it a day. But there's a second, like, vampire poison, and it never comes up. Morbius is like, oh, I'm gonna use it to kill myself when this is over. Doesn't, and it never comes up again. So presumably it's just sitting on his desk at Horizon, which is like, why are you, to what effect are you using Horizon? The answer is 0, and the CGI is bad. I think it's a $40 million movie, and it looks like it. They do more than they can afford to be doing on that budget. Oof. Let's see, what else? Oh, the ear thing. Like, I think that the ear canal alteration in order to pick up different frequencies in different directions, that's a good idea. It's executed very poorly. It looks really bad and unconvincing. And, like, the powers look really fucking vague. Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be looking at when I'm looking at his powers. There's like the weird sort of like smoky effect, like Nightcrawler, and the air wavy bits. I can only conclude that they're like air currents, and he's like riding off the air currents. But that's like, first of all, they're wrong. They don't even look remotely realistic. Especially when he's in the subway tunnel, it stands out as like really unrealistic air currents. But also, it's like really unclear what any of it is supposed to be, and why is there like the weird colors and blurs and bullshit. It's like, what are you doing, and why is Morbius so OP? Like, the CG would have looked better if they like made him more like the comics, and he's just kind of like, you know, he's nothing. He's not doing like crazy giant bat monster like attack bullshit, and he's not doing all this like crazy stupid weird CG shit. Like, the movie at the very least could have looked better than it did, if they didn't try to go over the top in the last act. And that's probably why the fight scene, the climax of the film was only 5 minutes, because that's probably as much as they could afford to do. So notable things that are not in the movie are the Spider-Man murderer poster with the fucking screenshot from the PS4 game of Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man in a loading screen. And what was the other Spider-Man reference that was removed? Oh, Oscorp. Oscorp is not in the movie. Oscorp was in the trailer, and Oscorp is not in the movie. Maybe it was supposed to be that he worked at Oscorp, but I don't think so, because they say Horizon out loud several times. So it was probably just something they removed to make it more vague what universe he's in. Because it's like, Sony obviously has no fucking clue what they're doing, and every decision is made up to the last day, clearly. By the way, this movie was supposed to come out in July of 2020. It's now April of 2022. And how beautiful, how fitting is it that this film should come out, this joke of a movie should come out on April Fool's Day. Everything about this film is hilarious. Damn it. How many times can I say that in this video? So I guess the elephant in the room, the giant Birdman in the room is... Birdman. In the room is the after credit scene, which, like, I'm hesitant to even get into because there's so much wrong with it, and, like, we're not going to solve any problems here. It's because there's no answer. Sony doesn't fucking know. It's bullshit, right? They're going to have to do some sort of stupid retcon shit if they want it to even remotely work. But, so I can only assume that it's Andrew Garfield's universe if it is indeed a Spider-Man's universe. There is a Spider-Man in this world because they reference Spider-Man in that they say his name, and Morbius seems to understand what that means. If it is a Spider-Man we know, it's obviously Garfield. It can only be Garfield. So this takes place during No Way Home, so if it is Garfield's universe, he's over in the MCU with other Pete's doing that at the time of Morbius, which is why he's not, like, there kicking his asshole in. More in. But Vulture, so there's the Vulture after credit scenes. So Vulture, like, just kind of shows the fuck up for absolutely no reason. He shows up in the weird white light, No Way Home, sending home universe effect, and he appears in a different prison, in a different cell from Homecoming, which is like, okay. But that's not how the spell works. The spell was to send people who were displaced from their native universe back to their native universe. And Vulture wasn't even fucking there. So why in the ever-loving shit is Vulture sent from his native universe to another universe? That, like, defeats the purpose of the spell to begin with. The spell was to send everybody back to where they belong. And yet we have And so it seems to me also that Toomes just doesn't care about his daughter or his wife or anything anymore. He seems just interested in like fucking with Spider-Man for some reason. Which is like weird because the only reason he didn't like Spider-Man anyway was because he was trying to like arrest him and stop him from being with his daughter, but he doesn't seem interested in that anymore. And he just shows up to like meet Morbius. How did he get a hold of Morbius? But he shows up to meet Morbius in the middle of nowhere for some reason in his Vulture suit from Homecoming, and it's like, how did he get that suit? Finn Mason made it in the MCU from Chitauri alien tech, and none of that stuff exists. Like, there was no Battle of New York Chitauri invasion in this universe. Okay. And there was no Phineas Mason to appropriate that tech into the Vulture suit. And even if there was, why would Adrian have access to it? Like, it doesn't make any sense. And if it's in the Amazing Universe, there is a set of Vulture wings at Oscorp, and they're not those. So, what the shit? Just absolutely ridiculous. None of it makes sense. And he's like, oh, we're gonna team up and we're gonna fight Spider-Man. Even though Morbius has no reason to hate Spider-Man or to team up with this random asshole. And why would they team up? If Vulture or if Morbius wanted to fight Spider-Man, he would just fight Spider-Man, and there's nothing Adrian Toomes could do about that, because the MCU Vulture and Morbius are not even close to being in the same like threat class. Like, what would Vulture even contribute to that fight? It would just be Spider-Man fighting Morbius, and Vulture would be there also. Like, there's nothing that Vulture brings to the table, especially this version of Vulture, because Adrian Toomes is just some asshole. Like, he's not a genius or an engineer or anything. Like, he has no skills aside from being a guy in a Vulture costume, which is useless when you have a guy who can summon 36 trillion bats, and also has all the powers that Morbius possesses in this film. Hi, babes. Mwah. Absurd. Everything, like, ooh, are they still trying to do that awful Sinister Six movie? We just had a Sinister Six movie. Have you seen No Way Home? That is a Sinister Six movie. The sixth member of the Sinister Six being Mysterio, by the way. I would argue, because he started this whole bullshit to begin with Spider-Man's identity. Just wow, you know? Like, just wow. It's... I got hair in my mouth. Thanks, Daisy. It's... I don't even know what to say. The fact that they're still trying to do this stupid bull... I hope this movie completely fucking bombs, and it will, but I hope it bombs so goddamn hard that Sony will stop... Why would you... It's arbitrary switching of sides. I hope it bombs so hard that Sony never tries to do another one of these stupid fucking spin-off movies again. I don't want a Jackpot movie. I don't want a Craven movie. I don't want a Sinister Six movie. I don't want a fucking Aunt May and Uncle Ben movie. I don't want a Black Cat movie. I don't want a Silver Sable movie. These are not characters who are designed to be on their own. These are characters who are designed to be... Black Cat could have her own movie. She's interesting enough. But not with the absence of Spider-Man. These characters are not designed to be on their own. They're not designed to be isolated figures. They are side characters of a greater mythos. Like, it's... You can't have one without the other. Goddamn. So that's my rant. and good riddance. Thank you for watching. If you watched this far, seek help. But thank you, and I'll talk to you guys later.